From Ticker, this is the Trades and Builders Business Show with Miles Primrose.
Good morning, I'm Miles Primrose. Welcome to the Trades and Builders Business Show. This morning we're looking at how one person can be a mother, a builder, a wife, and a business person, and many more things. We're also looking at how you can get your videos spot on for your business. Good morning, Tania.
Good morning, Miles.
So Tania, you are a registered builder and you're representing Refresh Renovations.
Yeah.
The question I want to ask you is, what made you get into the building industry?
Well, I think I was born into the industry, so my father was a builder. And when I wanted to sort of get into the working environment, I started working for a bigger builder and just saw that there was so much room for improvement. And so that inspired me to continue on.
And sort of at what stage or at what time of your life did you think that this is going to be the right thing for you?
That may be even still developing. No, there was a stage where I was exposed to a little bit of, I suppose, low quality work that I didn't agree with and a little bit of mild corruption. Yep. And I thought there's certainly room in this industry for me to make a difference.
Okay. And what's it like being one of the boys?
I definitely don't see it as being one of the boys. I'm just a person in the building industry. It's not a female or a male. It's just it's my working environment.
Okay. So I meet so many people when I talk to them that are business owners that say they don't have time to work on their business, or you've got the people that say they don't have any time, and you've got the people that actually make things happen. So how do you carefully juggle everything in your life to actually be able to do so many different things?
I think it's fair to say that it's driven by passion. So like everyone, I've got the same amount of time like everyone else. The internal driver, when I'm passionate about something, you just make the time to get the stuff done that is important to you. And it's part of your overall vision. So if I'm truly inspired to get something done, I just make it happen. I either get up earlier in the morning or set a goal or make sure I'm working on it at midnight when everyone else is sleeping. But I just have that internal driver, and it really does come from within to make the stuff happen.
So you've got a couple of children?
Yeah, I do.
And so you must be pretty good at actually managing them or getting them to actually take care of themselves in some way, or...
Well, I always say that anyone who's running a family, irrespective whether they're a mother or a father, you're already running your own small business.
Yeah.
You've got a budget, you've got revenue, you've got expenses. Yeah. So if anyone says I can't run a business or I don't have time, if you've got a family, you're already doing all of that. You're running your small operation business anyway. That's a family. So it's the mechanics behind it is the same as running a business, although it's a lot more emotional and time consuming because it's your family.
That's an interesting and a great a positive way to look at it. Yeah. And I suppose that's one of the reasons that you're able to do what you do.
Yep.
The other thing is, and I'm pretty sure I know the answer to this question already, so has it ever been intimidating working with men in the industry?
I've worked with men for a long time because it is a male-dominated industry. There's only something like 0.012% of registered building practitioners that are builders in Victoria. So it is a heavy male-dominated place to be. And actually last week I was at a luncheon with 70 high-profile businesswomen, and I thought the question I got asked is it intimidating working with men? And it's just as intimidating standing up in front of a whole group of high-profile businesswomen speaking. So I don't really see the difference. I'm just one person in the industry. There's no difference whether the gender bias is completely. I don't see it.
To me that's the right way of looking at it, because somebody's either a great person or they're not. It's not about and with awards, to me there's some associations that might have an award for a female apprentice, and then there's the other award. I'm thinking that there needs to be one award,
which is just the apprentice. Yeah,
somebody's done the best job or the best standard of work, or they've got the highest marks. It's just for that person. So leading on to that, what would be something you'd like to see more of in the industry?
Just better quality workmanship, business owners who are all about integrity or who have a story behind their business and really try and run their trades or building business with that story or with that vision rather than just being the old traditional, the carpentry business or the plumbing business, or more of the why existence about why they're running their business and portraying that to the end customer and really just bettering the industry as a whole.
Okay, so what would you have to say to trades and builders that are actually trying to run their business today? What would you, what sort of tips would you give them?
Well, firstly, they should reach out to someone like you or I, really, because we work with trades and business
That
owners.
actually wasn't supposed to be a loaded question.
No, it wasn't. But you can rephrase the question again. It was, what would I say to trades and builders?
That actually want to, they're trying to run their business today, they might be struggling a bit, they might be a bit frustrated. What should they do other than contact us?
Right, so the first thing that you really should do is look at why you started your business and what is the overarching goal, the umbrella of why you started your business.
Yep.
Which I see sort of people fall into the everyday runs of the grind, the doing of their business, so that when we go back to the fundamentals of why they started the business in the first place and getting really specific. So not like I started my business so that I have more time with family and so that I can have my own business hours, but like what is the financial goal, what is the time frame, really, really specific goals about what the purpose of the business is, and then just making a plan to reverse engineer that. And when you actually take that apart, it's a lot more simple.
So to me, the way I relate to that is there's some people that are they just work and it's like they're on a stationary bike.
Yeah.
And they're not making much progress. Or you're talking about people that are creating a clear path and clear big picture, and because of that they can then hold themselves accountable and actually work towards that. Then once they start to do that, they should be a little bit happier.
It's not just happier, it's progress as well. So you're right. So when you take that apart, as I said before, so many people are stuck in the daily grind, the grunt, the doing of the daily business. And what you've just described there is looking at the overarching goal, why you started, what are you trying to achieve, and when you take out the emotion out of that and look at your business as a systemized process of how you're going to get there, you're taking away from you being stuck in the daily grind and just getting involved in the strategy of the business. So I would say to them, to the people who are struggling, if you're a trades builder, whatever business you're running, overarching goal, what is the time frame, what do you want to achieve, and then step back, or I call it looking at it from a macro lens perspective.
Yep.
And dissecting the sections of the business that you need to either outsource, insource, and looking at your business strategy-wise. So take your emotional sunglasses off.
One of the things that I did with somebody the weekend just gone, they actually had trouble trying to actually comprehend exactly what you were talking about just then. So in the training room that I've got, it's a longish room. So I actually got them. I said, come over here to the other side of the table, and everybody else stay where you are. So I actually took them up to the other end of the room, and I said, this is the future. This is 15 years time. Can you tell me what you've created? Like, what's good about your business? Who's on your team? What equipment have you got? What's the type of work that you're doing that you actually love? And when he was in the spot, like he was just saying, there's this and there's this and this is happening and this is the team I've got. I said, all right, well, and then I could see this, a couple of guys were writing down notes, and I said, all right, we stepped back, we went down the training room about halfway. I said, we're about 8 years now, so what's happened here? I said, oh, well, look, it's about half of this, and we went back to about 2 years, and then we went back to actually present time. I said, we've just worked it out. And he went, I've never thought of that.
Yeah.
So sometimes people have, depends on the personality, it's hard to write things down sometimes because they've been that way for so long. You actually need to get them to physically step out of that and actually take them on a path and actually help them work it out that way.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think, and particularly in trades businesses, they're very technically the mechanics behind the technicality of the business that they're involved in. They are the doer of the business, and that's how they generally start off. But in any business, you've got to have the business owner, the technical-minded person, and also the strategy cap. And so as you grow from being the technical mechanics person, you've got to take on these two other caps to get to that overarching umbrella. And sometimes we need to reach out for help for that because it's so hard to see that when you're in the daily grind of your business. And
look, that's you're right. And there's a guy that's actually decided to come on board with me yesterday, and I've been talking to him on and off for a few months, and I haven't actually hassled him, but I do catch up with him probably on the phone once every 6 weeks or so. So probably since October last year we've been talking, and I said, why did you delay your decision to do something? And he said, I'm really skeptical. He said, I've tried things and they haven't worked, and I said, well, okay, when you think about it, what's that cost you? And he said, well, actually sitting there the other day when I was there for a day and a half, he said, I've actually realised that now.
Yeah.
It could have cost me a lot of time and a lot of money. So now I've got to actually, I said, all right, what are you going to do with that skeptical belief? I said, I've got one as well, but I know when to wear that hat and where not to. He said, what do you think I should do? I said, well, you can sell it. You can give it away. You can write it on a bit of paper and burn it. Just do something. My next question for you is, what do you love most about the building industry?
There's never a day that's the same. So I'm not just a registered builder, I'm also a business consultant. I work with mainly building and renovation business owners, and every project is unique. There's always a different problem. There's always something different to sort out or to work with. So it's not a mundane type of role, and I'm very creative, and I like to put my innovative ideas into practice, so I get to do that all the time. And certainly the building industry is so broad, so I have a wide range of things to work with every day.
So is that just across Melbourne or?
So no, I started off just across Melbourne, and now I currently work for a company as well called Refresh Renovations. We're a global refresh renovation company, and so we're across the country and in New Zealand, and just launched in US and the UK as well.
Okay, so you've got a bit of travel happening now.
I do have a little bit of travel, but Melbourne is my home. I'm more passionate about businesses in Melbourne. I shouldn't really say that, but the technical and the mechanics is the same. If you're running a business, irrespective of where you are, what you're doing and the strategy behind the business is the same.
So you've got a passion for the building industry, but when you were at school, high school, did you have a goal or a thing that you thought, okay, later on I'm going to be a police person, a policewoman, or are you going to be something? Did you think of anything then? Yeah,
well, interestingly, I'm bilingual, so I always wanted to get into international business. And then I started working in the building industry. I couldn't really see how I could get the two together, building and business, because when I started, I was just stuck in the technical mind, the mechanics behind the building. And now I'm really fortunate because I get to mold those two in together. So I talk to business owners every day who are in the building industry, and I've just matched my two passions, and you can see that come out of me every day in my working life.
That's amazing. Tania, we're going to come back in just a moment. You're watching the Trades and Builders Business Show. I'm Miles Primrose. We'll be back with you very soon.
This is Ticker.
Here's Ticker.
From Ticker, this is the Trades and Builders Business Show with Miles Primrose.
Good morning, I'm Miles Primrose. Welcome back to the Trades and Builders Business Show. We've got Tania Sasik here, who is an amazing female registered builder, telling us about her experience in the building industry. Welcome back, Tania.
Thank you, Miles.
I need to ask you something.
Sure.
Growing up, were you ever told that you can't do something, and what has been your attitude or reaction towards that?
Yeah, I think most definitely. I mean, I was the youngest kid in the street. There was 18 kids in our street, so I would say that I was often told that I can't do something because of my age or because I'm a girl or etc. Not so much from my parents, but more around the social environment. You can't do this or you can't do that. And I suppose as a strong-willed person, I was always thought to myself, if someone says you can't, that is the single most reason why I need to do it. And it's still with me in my adult life. So I went to Amsterdam a few years ago and my mother said to me, I hope you're not going to ride a bike there.
What?
Yeah.
Why?
And that my reaction was, I totally forgot that I was supposed to ride a bike. Of course I'm going to ride a bike.
What's wrong with riding a bike?
Yeah, well, it's just an example of when
I
someone
thought you
says,
were going to say something else.
Don't
have a cookie or something.
Well, yes, you also said that one. But yeah, absolutely. Every time someone says you cannot, it's almost like a light bulb then goes off in my mind and I sit up straight and I listen and go, okay, what is it that I need to do? If someone says you cannot, of course I can. I also embed this in my household, so I forbid my children when there's something that needs to be done, they can't come to the table and say I can't. They can't start any sentence with I can't. It has to be I've tried, or I wanted to, or I will, or I should, or it cannot start with the word I can't.
That's fantastic. That's a very good attitude, and I'm sure that your kids in maybe 30 years' time will thank you for that.
I'm sure they will. I'm already starting to see the glimpses of it, actually. So,
what sort of influence were your parents for you when you were growing up? And has that had an effect on who you are today as a registered builder?
Yes, certainly. I think my parents. I thank my parents every day for the hard work installments. So my parents were the age of migrants, so they came here. Hard-working environment. My brother and I had to work on weekends. I grew up watching my parents work hard, and they still work hard to this day. Probably the thing that they taught me is that you must work hard all your life, and that's one thing that I would change if anyone else is watching this, because I think they probably didn't know it at the time that it's not about working harder, it's about working smarter as you progress. And so my father will still say that to me every now and again, you've got to work hard, you've got to work hard. And I always say to him, no, I've already done the hard work and now I need to work less and work smarter. So
instead of being, I suppose, task-based, you're more being achievement-based, where you're getting other people to help you with things.
There's always tasks in achievements. It's just dissecting, delineating the roles, and I'm really good at outsourcing and getting things done. So I'm a project manager by nature. So as I said, there are always tasks, and they always need to be done. They don't necessarily need to be done by me.
And I remember, and I haven't mentioned this on the show, but we worked together for roughly about a year, and so you came on as a business development role to actually help me, which sort of wasn't planned. It just happened, but it was great. And you actually ended up giving me things to do, which was, if it was somebody else, I probably wouldn't have taken it so well. But your approach towards me on showing me the things that, these are the things that I need to prioritise, and the book that I wrote, The 12 Steps to Business, wouldn't have happened if you didn't actually, I'll say, make me do it.
Thank you. I mean, at the end of the day, the business owner is the one that makes the stuff happen. And I know as a business owner as well, but also working with so many, is that getting bogged down in the everyday stuff to do is the single reason why we start to procrastinate, and then stuff happens, and cash flow's tighter, and there's only a certain amount of hours, and we've got to deal with people that we work with and people that we're responsible to, and there's all these things that start to happen. So sometimes having a fresh set of eyes and someone who can inspire you and remind you why you started all those things is just that little push that you need to get the stuff done, which is all that I did for you, Miles. It was you the whole time, not me.
I want to ask you a question about inspiration. So can you think of two people that inspired you? So somebody that you haven't met and somebody that is or has been in your life. So, for example, if I think about, I can easily think of somebody that I have met, but when we think of people that we haven't met, it might be, a billionaire, or it could be somebody within an industry, but they inspire you because you could just see that the path that they forged or that type of thing. Who would two of those people be?
Someone that I haven't met.
And somebody you have met. So somebody that they could be in your life now, or they were in your life, and somebody that you might read about, or you've listened to an audiobook about that you haven't met.
Right. So someone that I do know is probably, I have a lot of women in my family who had to take on the male role, I guess. I have an auntie who is super successful in everything that she does, and does everything that a man per se would do, clean a tractor and knows how to sew and knows how to fuel a...
Clean a tractor?
Yeah.
Okay.
So she lives in an agricultural place where they have huge parcels of farmland. She knows how to do everything that the typical male would do in that male-dominated environment, but also, takes on all the female roles as well. Is the breadwinner, is the inspirer to the whole family, and has never looked at any task as being too hard, and certainly never taken no for an answer, and has the same attitude as I have, as in, what do you mean you can't? When someone says I can't work, what do you mean you can't? You can. What are the reasons you believe you can't? And now let's tackle them. So I'd say she's a big inspirer to me. Although I don't live near her, I often think about her. And if she did it, born 40 years before I was, in an environment where girls were not allowed to go to school and they were not allowed to do things that men were allowed to do, if she did all those things, then yes, certainly I look at that and I go, wow, like I have no excuse thinking that I can't do something. And someone that I don't know is probably the self-made people. So the likes of, Gary Vee or Elon Musk, or someone that was sort of just isn't born into a millionaire or a billionaire family. Those people inspire me because they've started off with a purpose and a why rather than a how-to. And so I look at that and go, well, there's a story behind that, and there's a reason that was driven by passion. So as soon as I see that, the passionate side, that's truly inspiring to me.
I totally agree with Gary Vee. Like I see a lot of his videos pop up on LinkedIn, and they're very short. But then when he'll be talking to a group of people and somebody's got a challenge in the room, the way he breaks down that challenge is it's fantastic. It just makes the person understand that maybe that person's overthinking the problem, and it would say it's this. Yeah. And I go, wow, that's amazing. So I totally agree with.
And you can apply that to the rules of business of what we just said. If you're running a small business and you've got all these tasks and you've got to deal with, the mechanical thing, the technical reasons behind your business, and the employees and the customer calls and all of these things, and then when you just step back, is what we talked about, just being able to see clearly what are the tasks that need to be done first. It's exactly what Gary Vee does.
So along the way, have you had to make any sacrifices along the way to actually be the business person, to be the registered builder?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think anyone in business has to make sacrifices. Actually, anyone going through this thing we call life has to make sacrifices, but definitely as a small business owner, I still went through the same struggles as everyone. No cash flow, no capital. I started my business one day when I got upset at work. I was driving home and decided, right, I'm just going to start my own building company with one major problem: no building license and no capital. So I had to find that. And what I do know now is that there's absolutely no reason why someone can't achieve something, because I had none of that and I just created it. Whereas if I'm not passionate about something, I can have all of that. I can have the money, have the license, but I just don't do anything with it. So that passion and the reason is the single biggest driver for someone to get up and do something. That's number one. The second thing is the challenges, cash flow being a challenge, and then you've got to sacrifice things in your own personal life. I've had to move, I've had to sell things to be able to salvage, particularly during the GFC. I was one of the lucky businesses to survive the GFC in the building industry, when I watched all my colleagues around me sort of either fold their businesses or go into another industry. So sacrifices are normal. I just expect to see them now around me in the business world, so it's not I don't fall into the emotional don't fall apart anymore. It doesn't happen anymore because I've planned for it. I've taught myself now that was a part of me, upcoming as a small business owner. But I think all people have to make some sacrifice to get to where they want to go.
So one of the last questions for today is, how do you celebrate your wins, and when do you do that?
This is a good question. Well, I was really bad at that initially when I started working and having a small business. I was always, that's not big enough to celebrate. That's not worth celebrating. Yeah, that's just part of the business. And probably around 3 or 4 years into my business, I thought, wow, I've done all this stuff and I never celebrated anything. So how I celebrate now is I do what I love, and I love travel. And so the perks I give myself are holidays every now and again. And when I'm working with small business owners, I often ask, what is the single thing that makes you happy? And that is the reason where you should channel in how you celebrate your wins. So if you love traveling, travel. If you like to do, skiing, ski. If you want to spend time with family, spend time with family. And you simply embed that into your timetable whilst you're running a business, because that's part of the reason why you started a business anyway.
How long have you had that attitude towards celebrating wins?
After I had a breakdown.
How long ago was that? Was that this morning or?
No, it was many years ago. So 4 or 5 years into my small business, I had hit a T intersection.
Yep.
And I'd like to say that when things get hard, you hit a breakthrough.
Yep.
But for me, I had to go through breakdown to get to breakthrough. And now I know how to make things better, easier, faster, quicker, and move more swiftly to where you've got to go. But at the time, it was really challenging, and now I absolutely take that on as that was my key learning, and that is the reason how I can help other small business owners achieve what they need to achieve, because I've gone through that myself, gone through the cash flow struggles, gone through the breakdown to get to the breakthrough. And that was the time that I realized I never pat myself on the back. And always being in that tough environment, parents around, and being in a male-dominated industry is just part of the job. So you just got to keep moving. And whilst that's true, I'm also a human being, and so is anyone else that's running a business. So you need to stop and celebrate what's important to you. And so that was the time when I realized that that's probably one of the biggest mistakes that I did. All I needed to do was stop and turn around and go, okay, well, these are all the things that I've achieved. So why not crack open a bottle of champers or wine, or go on a weekend away, or do something that's going to make me happy?
An excuse for a drink.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Tania. Thank you for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
You're on the Trades and Builders Business Show. I'm Miles Primrose. We'll be back with you very soon.
is Ticker.
From Ticker, this is the Trades and Builders Business Show with Miles Primrose.
I'm Miles Primrose and welcome to the Trades and Builders Business Show. This morning we're looking at what you need to do to get your videos done and done well. So welcome Jenny De Lacy, the visibility coach. How are you?
Well, thanks for having me, Miles. I'm great.
First question for the day. How important is it to get the video side of things done right the first time?
Apart from saving time and energy by doing it right the first time, the question is, what does right look like for any business in terms of who's their audience, which platforms are going to work best for them. So getting it right relates to more than just creating any old video and putting it up. It's about having the right kinds of videos to really showcase your business and your personality and your values that you offer.
So if I'm a potential prospect and I come to you and I talk to you about this, what is it actually you do and what you don't do for the video side of things?
So I'm very much audience focused, so I'll say to the client, who are you actually trying to speak to with your videos?
Yep.
So we create a content strategy around who your audience
What's
actually
a content
is.
strategy?
So
what's that?
Where are the videos going to go? Who are they for? What are we trying to show? What are we showcasing? What's a worthwhile video or multiple videos for any business to have? So that strategy is around your profit focus, so what outcome do you want from your videos, but also who is the audience. So I create that plan together with clients and then I help work out what words are going to come out of your mouth. So a lot of people are really lost for words when it comes to creating videos, and then we either hire really good quality videographers or use a studio, or people can do them themselves as well.
How do you help people that are like me, lost for words? Yep.
For me, it's about identifying what sounds like you coming out of your mouth. So not trying to be something that you're not trying to be like a newsreader, because you're not. You're just a human being that has an expertise in whatever your business is, and just getting people to practice, having a practice habit, and breaking through that sort of the nerves, if you like, about speaking to the camera and imagining you're speaking to your actual client.
Don't some people, as soon as the camera's in front of them, they freeze?
Yep. So it takes practice. It takes time for people to sort of get over that discomfort of speaking to the camera, and because it's not sort of natural for us, is it? There's no one on the other end. You don't realise who you're talking to. So there's a bit of practice and confidence techniques that I use with clients to break through that, but it does take time.
So how has video changed for small business over the last few years?
Oh, it's so accessible. Like when you think about when I was working in corporate and we wanted to create training videos, it cost us about $10,000 a day to have maybe one camera guy and maybe a microphone guy, and we still had to do all the scripting and encourage everybody and direct the traffic for those videos. Whereas now, it's just so accessible to everybody. It's one of the lowest cost ways that you can really market your business. Not only is it more accessible, every social media platform is pushing it further and further into our news feed, so we're seeing it more often. Even if we're not looking at the videos, we're seeing them more often. So it's changed a lot in the last couple of years.
So do you have to be a show-off to actually be on video?
Good question. Because I am a terrible show-off, and so are you, we kind of don't mind it. We're quite happy to talk to camera and imagine how valuable our content is. But often I speak to people that are really quiet and introverted, and they're a bit nervous about, do I really want to speak to the camera? So again, it comes back to just being ourselves. So no, you don't have to be a show off. In fact, I think sometimes people that are slower and quieter draw a different kind of energy, don't they, when we're watching them compared to frantically passionate people.
I totally relate what you're talking about. So where can trades and builders actually best use this type of strategy with the video type side of things?
I think the best way to do it is to think about where is their audience now. So if they're hanging out on Instagram or Facebook, I'm finding more and more people are asking for recommendations on Facebook for trades. So if you have a Facebook page, and hopefully I know your clients do, video is a great place to start right there on Facebook, so that when people make a recommendation for your business, people have got something to land on and find out more about you, rather than just you looking the same as every other trade in that field. I think that Facebook being 2.3 billion active users or something, that's a pretty good place to start.
So you've met somebody at a networking event, for example, and you're talking to somebody and they say, look, they either don't have any video or they don't have much at all. And this person is, the goal is to grow their business, and you've just got a sense that they're going to invest some money somewhere with the marketing side of things.
Yeah.
Now, if you could think that this person, in the next 12 months, they're going to invest, say, $5,000 somewhere, whether it's SEO or some lead generation or something like that. And maybe they even talk to you and say, look, I am going to do something in the marketing side of things, but why would I put that into video when I can put it elsewhere? What would how would you approach that comment?
That's a good question. I think lots of businesses now that have invested money in SEO and Google AdWords are now looking at adding videos to their website, so that there is more personality to their brand when people land there. So I would say that you have to have an overall digital strategy. So video is kind of realistically supposed to complement what you are already doing. Does that make sense? So rather than it sitting by itself being a thing on its own, it actually should complement your SEO strategy. If you're doing Google AdWords or Facebook ads, what message are you trying to send that sets you apart from your competition? They're the styles of video that are going to really work.
So you're maybe getting this video so that when they've got these things in place, a prospect that goes to their site or to their Facebook page, they would actually use these videos to actually get to know the person before they've met the person.
Yeah, that's right. So sadly, on paper, most consumers would think that trades are all the same. Builders are all the same. Like, it's really hard to choose. So if I'm going to have somebody turn up at my house and do some work or help me in my business as a trade, I want to know more about them. And what's really fascinating in the last couple of years is that people aren't just doing Google searches, they're using Facebook like a search engine as well, and they're asking for recommendations, and they're doing searches on Facebook, and so there's got to be something there to show your value when they land on your online real estate, if you like, rather than just, like a business card. It's not a virtual business card anymore, it's got to be more than that. And so that's where you show your personality and your brand values and what you can do for people.
When we come back, we're going to take a short break, but when we come back, one of the questions we're going to go through is what type of videos that they should actually start off with.
Sure.
You're watching the Trades and Builders Business Show. My name's Miles. Primrose will be back with you very soon.
is Ticker.
From Ticker, this is the Trades and Builders Business Show with Miles Primrose.
Welcome back to the Trades and Builders Business Show. My name's Miles Primrose and we're here with Jenny De Lacy, the visibility coach. Welcome back, Jenny.
Thank you.
Look, I asked you before the break if somebody doesn't have any videos, what should they start off with first? But we've got a video of yours. This has got a couple of examples on there, is that right?
Yeah, it's just some examples of what people have chosen to go with first, just tiny snippets of things that people have done.
Okay, we'll have a quick look at that. So there's a few different examples on there. Can you tell me what was on there, who was on there, and...
Yep. So mainly when people are starting out, there's a really simple place to start, and that is introducing who you are and what you do. Just a really simple intro video. There's a couple of people on there that were doing that. But also showcasing what you do, like a show reel. So it's less, there's less talking and a bit more in showing what you do in your business. So they're a really simple entry point for people that don't have any videos already. And you saw some Christmas messages there. Actually, those Christmas messages were done amongst other video shoots where, why not? Everybody was feeling good, they might as well. And actually they got really good engagement, both of those Christmas videos. Just simple message to say Merry Christmas or whatever. There's also a couple in there that were product-based businesses where they have decided to talk directly to their stockists or something as their first video and ended up selling more products. So it really depends on people's profit focus. Like where do we want the videos to lead traffic? And that's just a few examples in there.
So with the videos, how long should they be?
Yeah, it's a really good question. Most social media videos are under 2 minutes long because we have terrible attention spans, apart from the viewers of this show who are going to stick around for the whole time. Most people's attention spans are getting shorter and shorter. If you're doing a how-to style video, tutorial videos on YouTube, they can be longer because you know what it's like when you want to find the answer to something, you go and you watch the whole thing. Whereas on social media, we're kind of seeing them in our news feed while we're interacting with other people. So I always say let's keep them under 2 minutes, even closer to a minute if you can, and you want to make sure you can multi-purpose them if you're not just on Facebook. You want them to be around a minute to be on Instagram as well.
So as far as keeping them interesting, and when you've got people like trades and builders that actually haven't been on or in front of the camera much at all, how do you keep them interesting? Because as you said, there's so many things to watch these days, and I know if I see something come up, I know it's a promotional video. You know, I know when they're trying to angle it that it's something it's not, but it is, and I'll probably look at something for almost less than a second sometimes. You know, so how do you actually get that impact straight away?
I think we've got about 3 seconds at the beginning to capture people's attention and keep them watching. And I just feel like if the outcome we want is for people to trust us, so that they're going to choose us and find out more about us in our videos, then they don't have to be overtly promotional. If you've got, I love the ones where tradies show the dog that's on site, that they've got like a pet that's there, that's in the truck, they're the sorts of videos people seem to be really fascinated to watch, because it shows behind the scenes and shows personality and just the values that you represent in the way you interact with your customers. So it doesn't have to be speaking directly to the camera saying, buy my thing, let me come and fix your electricals or whatever. It's more about showing me the value and the style and personality of your business. So that makes them a bit easier in a way, because they don't have to be, you know, salesy and professional. They're actually just everyday footage of what people do during their working day with their clients. So
an ideal business, how often should they be taking videos for their business? You know, they're doing things the right way, I suppose, and their goal is to be in the top 5% of a trades or a building business. What would you suggest as far as the amount of time or frequency they should be taking a video?
So remember that there's moments every day that are story worthy and worthy of taking footage of. No doubt there's something that happens pretty much every day. We make an assumption that people know what we do and that they know more than they actually do know. And so somebody said to me, why would they want to see me talk about the brake line on the, you know, thingo? And I'm like, well, because they don't know. They're just punters buying a van or whatever. There's so many moments in every day that people could be sharing. If you follow somebody like Gary Vee, he would say, need to be posting like tens of posts a day. So you could be posting videos every day, remembering that most of us don't see every post that you post. So you might say, I'm going to post a video a day for a week and see what happens, and you'll see the viewership goes up as you go up, as you go through the week. So honestly, you could shoot 30 seconds every day and post it, and it would be worthwhile.
So what are some things that they should actually leave out of the video, both visually and from an audio point of view?
When you are walking and talking outside, that's never seems to work really well unless you've got a really strong microphone. So just being aware that the light and the sound is important to whether I can see you and whether I trust you. If you're standing with the light behind you and I can't see you, you look like, you know, a whistleblower on a current affair or whatever. So the other thing to leave out of videos, I think, is
me having my breakfast, my cereal.
Yeah, maybe we don't want to see eat. That's true. And the dribble of the.
But I've got to cut in here. I've just remembered this one. What about some people that they video themselves when they're driving?
Well, it's against the law. I'm sure in Victoria you're not supposed to.
Does it just seem like you're a bit of a?
Yeah, I'm like, can you not actually take the time to do it safely and when you're not doing something else?
Self-importance, I think, is the word I'm going with.
I always think, you know, this sort of micro-sharing waffler, I call it, where it's not really valid. It's about them, isn't it?
Yeah.
Versus what I like to see is clients who are making their videos about their customers, because they're trying to help you see how to trust them versus look at me, and I can tell the difference, and I think most of us can as well.
Okay, so look, I've got time for one more question left. So what would be some advice you would give a trades or a building business owner? It doesn't matter whether they're new or they're sort of halfway through or they're established. What would be some advice you'd give them for actually, first of all, getting started? Second of all, they've got some videos, but they want to do it better. And the third one is they want to work out how they're going to get noticed. So let's go with the first one, getting started.
So when you're at the very beginning, I always say, who is your customer? Who are you speaking to? Because if you don't know who you're talking to, how do you know what to make videos about? So it's really important that you understand the challenges or the fears or beliefs that the customer has, so that you can answer them in your videos, whether it's you frequently asked questions style videos or just behind the scenes to reassure people that you are a good operator and worthy of my coin. And what was the second question?
The second question is, so they might be established, but they want to set up their video content better.
So two things. If the budget stretches to it, I think it's always worth having a professional videographer who can capture really good moments for you and take away the need for you to know about the mechanics, because sometimes that's what puts people off, knowing how to post it, knowing how to edit it beforehand, all that sort of hoo-ha. It's actually really good if you can stretch the budget to have a videographer once a month or something to come and take that footage. That would take it to another level. But also multi-purposing our videos. So if we're putting them in one place, how can we amplify the reach of that video across other platforms too? That would be the next step as well.
So the last question, which you've sort of answered a little bit, is somebody that's established, they've got all these videos, but they're banging their head against the wall because they're just not getting noticed. So what do? They can
try a different tactic, ask their customers directly, what would you like to see? There's no problem with asking in Facebook groups, etc. We're creating a series of videos, what do you want to see? So you've got a more direct from the client what they're actually looking for.
Yeah. Or where would they actually watch the video?
Yeah,
Instagram,
should I be
Facebook,
on Instagram?
YouTube, or
yeah. What's really fascinating to me is how loyal Instagram viewers are compared to Facebook.
Yeah.
I would actually encourage nearly everybody I know at the moment to focus on Instagram and get on IGTV and stories, because they are growing in viewership and people watch for longer and they engage more.
Okay.
So if you're not on Instagram, why not give that a try, and that might actually really improve your reach as well.
Excellent. All right, well, thank you very much for your time on the show.
Welcome.
I'm Miles Primrose. You're on the Trades and Builders Business Show. We look forward to seeing you next week.
This is Ticker, your new source for news.